Chapter 9, Part 2, a short story called The Secret. So, I'm going to get to tell Daniel that everything is all right? Well, I'm going to file the application right away, William told her with a genuine smile. And if it's accepted, you'll be able to visit your husband. Rachel leaped to her feet and hugged Mr. Lee as hard as she could. Change of scene. Daniel Potweiler stood in his garden. It was a small garden behind his house. He knew he should be checking the soil, logging the growth of his plants, looking for pests and disease. But he just didn't have the heart anymore. First, Jessica, then Rachel. And now, he was all alone. He took a deep breath and trudged over to a rose bush. He let one hand slowly trail down the side of a red petal. The despair that filled his soul was thick. He tried to push it away, to be positive, but why should he? There was really no point in anything. He looked up into the sky as a plane flew overhead, just departing the nearby airport. No one on that plane cared if he was alive or dead. No one in the world really did. Sure, they offered an occasional smile or platitude, but he trudged to the back door of his house. He turned, looking one last time at his fading garden. Just south of his garden, under the old white oak, where his initials and that of his wife Rachel were carved together inside of a heart, Rachel stood, clear as day. Daniel stared at her, his heart hammering in his chest. He blinked rapidly, trying to clear the vision from his eyes. Was he hallucinating? Rachel was looking at the trunk of the tree, where their initials were carved. She turned and looked at him. She was beautiful. Her silver hair was radiantly done up, her skin glowed, and the air around her seemed to shimmer and sparkle. Daniel clutched at a fence post for support, and his eyes welled up with tears. Rachel? She waved at him, and her dress seemed to stir with the breeze, as if she were actually there. She smiled, and there was such love in her eyes, and a tinge of sadness. But most of all, Daniel understood. The thoughts, the knowledge just flowing into his mind and heart. She was in a better place, with their daughter. He just knew. Daniel waved back at her, tears streaming down his face, and then she was gone. He stood there for a bit, maybe 5 minutes. Then he walked to the old oak tree and looked around. There were 2 clear depressions in the soft soil where a person's feet had been. No trail to this spot or away, but someone had been standing there. Rachel. Daniel chuckled to himself and wiped away a few thick, hot tears. Not even death could stop you from saying hi, huh, Rach? Not you, no. Not my Rachel. Daniel finished wiping the tears from his face and then turned back to his garden. He knelt down and put his hands in the soil. Rachel and Jessica were out there watching him, caring about him. There was a lot of stuff still out there, watching, caring. Daniel smelled the soil, felt the moisture. Now, what was the acidity? When was the last time he had checked? He shook his head. He had a lot of catching up to do. And that is the end of this chapter.